Welcome to the Human Employee Podcast, where we make it our business to be in your business, with your hosts, Tamiko Williams and Sine Bate Mitchell.
Hi, I'm Tamiko.
And I'm Sane. And welcome to the Human Employee Podcast.
Da, 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 da. Okay, all right. That's okay. So the question today is, are lazy people or employees hurting your company?
Wow. This is like a huge issue.
Right. It is. It's serious. I mean, it's serious for me. I'm going to be honest with you, because every time I enter an establishment and I see somebody walking around like their feet are made of lead and their eyes rolled in the back of their head, I want to leave.
Yes.
I don't want to stay there. It's upsetting to me. It's like, okay, can I get some service here?
Mm-hmm.
When I do get the service, can I have a smile with that service? Can you act like a little bit service?
Right. Act like you want me to be here.
Right? Call me crazy, but I thought I was a customer.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, at least treat me like, I mean, some people like, okay, prime example. I went out to breakfast with my family today and we chose a place that we believed had the best customer service to begin with. So we go there. I'm not going to mention their name. It was a breakfast establishment somewhere in Atlanta, Georgia, but I'm not going to mention their name. Okay, at all. Okay, just so you know, it starts with an I. But we were there. Okay. I'm not going to say anything after that, but we were there. We sat down. We were excited to order our little pancakes. Okay. And the woman comes up and literally says, "What do you want?" I'm like, darn.
Wow.
Like, I looked at my husband. I'm like, "Are you ready to order? Are you ready to order?" And I'm thinking she's going to take up the reins and go, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry. What would you like to order? Do you need more time?" No, no. What would you like? I'm like, "Oh, I don't really know. I need some time to think about it." Okay. And she walked away.
Wow.
Like, what the heck?
Like, no, hello, how you doing?
No, none of it. I mean,
do you need any more time?
if
Something.
if you could have seen the look on her face, I was scared to talk to her. I'm like, did I talk to her? And then she went back over to her little station and just stood there and pretty much proceeded to just look at us. And then she walked over to and did some other things and then came back. "Okay, are you ready?" I was like, wow.
Like she didn't even want to be there.
Like she didn't want to be there. And then when she finally did take her drink order, she came back and threw our straws on the table. Okay? I mean, she didn't gingerly place them on the table. She plopped them down and the straws almost bounced off the table. That's how hard she threw. She plopped those things down. They almost bounced back up. I was like, what?
Wow.
This is the worst service I've had in a long time in an establishment that I won't mention that starts with an I. So.
Shame.
I'm not saying it. Shame. That's the truth. So I realized she didn't want to be there.
No.
And it made my whole experience horrible. I didn't even want to go back there. And like I told you, prior to that, we've always had a good time or a good experience there. We never had a bad experience. So she kind of ruined how I felt about the whole place. You know, she didn't want to.
Oh, definitely. That's a part of a customer's experience.
Exactly.
From the moment the moment you drive up onto an establishment as a consumer, it's all about your experience. How does the place look? Especially when you walk in, how are you received?
Exactly.
You're spending your hard-earned money there. So the least they could do is even just speak and greet you for being there. You're paying their salary.
Exactly. And like she would be one of my prime examples of a lazy person and poor work habits in general. She would be what I would consider to be someone who had a bad attitude and pretty much killed the customer's vibe. She killed it. She took my will to order away from me. Okay.
Exactly.
I didn't want to order anymore. I'm like, I don't know if I was confused. I didn't know if I should stay or go. I was
right. Because then you're like, hey, if she's acting like that, what about the people who are cooking my food?
Right? Or do I want her to bring me my food? I mean,
that's true.
She could keep the food. I mean, I don't want her touching it because, I mean, she could put that energy onto my food. I don't know.
Yes,
she was killing me. So I would put her in the category of bad attitude. Someone who could just suck the life out of you.
Kill customers' vibes.
Exactly. She totally killed my vibe. I was done. Another good example of a lazy employee would be a slacker. Like someone who's always playing the blame game.
Oh, why they didn't get something done?
Yeah. I was like,
I was over here doing this, and you were supposed to be doing something else.
Right? They were really in the back talking to me.
Right.
Oh, did you tell me? I didn't realize you told me to do the
right.
floor.
I didn't know.
To mop the floor. Well, I had to put the butter in the back.
Well, how long does it take to put butter in the bag?
Exactly. How long? Well, I got stopped because somebody asked me a question. Well, what was the question?
I don't remember.
Right? They never remember. It's always some
It
excuse.
was something important, no, but I just don't remember the question.
Right. Okay. Well, can you go ahead and mop the floor right now? Well, I'm supposed to have a break right about now.
Well, you've been breaking for the last 2 hours.
No, I was asking important questions. I was answering those important questions, They need me in the back. No, I need you to mop the floor. Okay. That's to me a slacker that plays the blame game. It drives me
Insane.
insane.
Oh, yes.
Because they really feel that they're like what they're saying is really crucial. Like they just really feel like their excuses are good enough, at least a good enough reason for them to have not done that job that you asked them to do.
Right. Always. Skipping things, or like they say, oh, I've been working, I need to go on break. What? I remember going into another establishment, pick up some dinner, and
Not to be mentioned.
not to be mentioned in Atlanta. There was, young girls working behind the counter, and nobody else was there. I walk in. They're carrying on in a conversation. Never once stopped to say, hey, how you doing? Welcome in. I mean, their conversation must have been just so intense.
Right?
They forgot that they were at work.
Right.
They forgot that, I was there to place an order. I'm just standing there, I'm like, okay, so let me see how long is it going to take. Should I interrupt them or should I let them continue? Well, guess what? They continued their conversation.
Oh, you really thought they were going to stop for you? I
I know I'm not that important, but
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, people get in the midst of their conversation and they lose track of the fact that they're being paid on the job to do it.
And on top of that, it was an inappropriate conversation about somebody dating somebody else, and I'm like,
oh my goodness,
really? You're talking in front of the customer about things that have nothing to do with your job, and it's very inappropriate. But that it happens. It happens so often, where people are supposed to be doing their job or finishing a task, and they're not completing it for whatever reason.
Or
not focused.
The craziest part is if you did interrupt them, they would look at you like you were crazy. Like,
oh yes,
no, she didn't just interrupt us.
Exactly.
Yes, I did. Can you help me? They don't ever want to stop. They get an attitude when they stop. I'm like, oh my goodness, she interrupted us.
And it's funny sometimes, like you go ahead and place your order, and then they jump right back into their conversation. Or
they get mad at you and they look at you like, I can't believe this chick, and then they'll go back and talk about you.
Right.
Did you believe she had the nerve to interrupt us?
Right. Exactly. I was trying to tell you this, but she had to interrupt us. Like, what?
That is crazy. That is crazy. Oh, wait, you know what? Or what about a procrastinating employee?
Oh, the ones that put off everything?
Give
them a task. Like, sometimes you write down a whole list of things for you to do, right? You give them this list, all these steps, and you come back and guess what? Nothing on the list is done. Or
one thing is done. They tell me, oh, I'm going to get to that one. That's their favorite line. Oh, I'm going to get to that. I'm getting right on that.
And then it's crazy sometimes when you ask, well, what have you done to account for like all this time today?
Well, I was prepping. I was prepping to do the list.
Right. I had to get mentally right to get to this list.
Minds together.
I had to meditate first, and that took a couple hours.
Exactly. Because you have to get yourself set. You're ready to do a list. It takes time, mental time, and energy to get yourself prepared.
Oh yes.
Oh, I can't. That's the one thing that drives me crazy, though. Especially the ones that when you give them a deadline and you tell them that the deadline is, I would say, like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then they wait till 4:55 to start the task.
Right.
Like, what the heck? And you're closing down, the place is about to close down, or everybody's getting ready to leave, and they just start at 4:55, and you're looking at them like, okay, well, what happened between 9 o'clock and 4:55?
Exactly.
Do this. And they always look at you like you're crazy. You don't understand.
Yes, you don't know what I went through today.
What have you gone
Can
through?
you explain it to me?
Did any of it involve working?
Yes.
Like,
Or could you have at least updated me halfway through the day that you didn't get through this list, or that other
right.
things had occurred that were causing you a delayed?
Yeah, like the 20 calls he got from his girlfriend, or
Text messages, social media. Yes.
right, or playing on the internet for 5 hours, because there's so much trendy information out there. They have to keep up. So yeah, I understand completely. You were busy.
Right. Too busy to actually do your job.
Yeah, that drives me crazy. But I'm gonna be honest with you. The type of employee that really gets under my skin are the ones who are instigators. The ones who disturb the work environment.
Oh, yes.
The ones who run the campaign against somebody at the workplace or something, like some little mess they stir up just to avoid doing their job. And you'll see them, you'll know them, because they're the ones walking from cubicle to cubicle, sitting down talking to people.
Yes.
During the day, prior
everybody else's business and not taking care of the business.
Yeah, right. Like we're in the business of your business. This
Right.
is what they're going from cube to cube trying to get business. Stirring up mess just to keep, because when there's a lot of chaos, you forget that person was supposed to be working.
Right.
And then because you get sucked into the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So next thing you know, you're dealing with putting out fires here and there because this person has started all these fires, and you forget that the person who started them was supposed to be working in the first place. So
right.
your attention is so distracted, and that's their whole plot. Their whole plan is
distracted.
I'm gonna throw them off. Enough trickery. I'm gonna throw enough trickery out there that they will never know I'm not working.
Because I'm busy. It's like if I look busy.
Yeah,
you think I'm working, and I'm not actually working.
Oh my goodness, you hit the nail on the head. Don't you love the ones that are just so busy doing nothing? I love them.
No, because they're wasting your payroll.
Yes, they're ruffling papers around, they're shifting stuff from one pile to another, and nothing is being done.
Nothing.
And they're talking on the phone, what it seems like to an employee, or to a customer, but they're really not, or they're searching. You ever see that website, Shouldn't You Be Working, or something was called I Should Be Working, or Shouldn't You Be Working? And it was like a fake spreadsheet.
Uh-huh.
So like you could browse the internet, and then you would put up on the internet, like if your boss was coming by, you click a button and it would put up a fake spreadsheet, make it seem like you were working. I can't remember the name of that. I should be working or something like that. That was crazy. It was a long time ago, but it was the funniest thing. It's how you would trick your boss to make actually working when you were really surfing the internet. But it would throw up some random sheet. God forbid the boss ever came to your cubicle and looked hard at it, because it was like had a whole bunch of.
Yes, just imagine all the social media, how many people are on Facebook all day at work. Because I know a few people personally. They're supposed to be at work, and I'm like, why are they sending me messages all day?
Oh, I love the ones that say, "Oh, I can't talk, I'm at work," and then you're like, turn around 5 minutes later, but they're texting you long paragraphs. I'm like,
or putting up a new post.
Oh my goodness!
Living my best life.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, living their best life at work.
At work.
I have so much free time taking selfies.
Yes,
it's crazy. But
like I get paid to be on Facebook.
Yeah, right. You're really getting paid to be an intern at a company, right?
Exactly.
Assistant manager, and they're not doing any managing. But they're the ones that can hurt your business.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, because like my little incident with the woman, she could have cost herself a customer.
Yes, I know. I've actually walked out of establishments, based on the service I received, or how if they did not greet me, I'm like, I'm not spending my money here. Yeah, I can go to somewhere else that I feel more comfortable, that I want to be able to, enjoy my experience and feel appreciated, as a customer. Exactly. So I definitely think there's a lot of companies who lose, thousands, millions of customers.
I don't know about all that. Yeah, a lot.
A lot. You can't even put a number. It's an unimaginable number.
Let's put a fake number on that.
Yes.
Yeah, well, but we know for a fact that they lose a lot of customers
They
because
lose a lot.
ourselves, we've walked, like you said, we've walked out of establishments. I have left plenty of businesses that didn't greet me.
Right.
And I've been not greeted for numerous things. I mean, I've been not greeted because they were talking. I've been not greeted because they didn't feel like working that day.
Right.
I got greeted because they were just had a bad attitude, and maybe it was that time, you know.
Mhm.
I don't know what the deal is, or whatever the reason is. There, you lose customers, plain and simple, when you have
Yes.
lazy employees. They can cost you a massive amount, okay, of customers. And when you lose customers, what else do you lose?
You lose revenue. Bottom line, your bottom line is affected.
That is so true. You lose revenue, and for each and every person that walks through that door and then turns around and walks out, you've lost cash.
Yes.
That is your cash flow walking out the door.
Exactly.
That employee, the lazy employee, does not care.
Mm-mm.
It's the last thing is on their mind is, oh, I just lost a customer. They don't care. They were like, thank the Lord they left. They feel like messing with them anyway.
Oh, yes.
And that's how a lazy employee can really cost you, you know?
And sometimes, have you ever seen where it seems like a whole industry sort of maybe breeds these type of, I don't know, these type of employees?
Oh, yeah, I've
You know?
definitely seen that. That's certain fast food franchises I've seen that where I guess the employees are treated so poorly. I don't know what the deal is, but maybe if they didn't get the raise, or they don't make the money they want to, or the company doesn't value them like they should, that they all have the same attitude. They all have that I don't give a care attitude.
Yes.
And whatever, lady, you know what I mean? You're sitting there pleading your case. Well, I didn't get my chicken right, or my food was cold or something. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? Well, something, help me.
Right.
I can't help you. What do you want me to do? It's like they don't care. They don't really care. And there's nobody there telling them, yeah, okay, let's not do that. Let's do this. Okay. There's no correction. There's no consequences. It's like, I don't care. Yeah. So yeah, I agree.
I mean, one industry I can think of is even like social services, that are geared towards offering services for people in need or in crisis. And even growing up where, my family had to, utilize those type of services before, I actually remember, how of a disservice it was, to go there. You're in the middle of a crisis situation. At one point, my mother and I were homeless, and we actually had to go through, living in a shelter system. And the way that the people, sometimes tend to treat you as if like you did something wrong. It's like, hey, something is going wrong in my life. I'm trying to get help. Can you direct me? And, sometimes it's like where people could actually solve a problem, they'll pass it off and like, oh, well, we'll just let somebody else handle it, and it costs people, time. That's customers. It costs them, time, that valuable time that they may not have, to waste based on whatever the need of why they're coming to get that service. So
Right.
all of that is, it affects, everybody all around.
Yeah. There's a lot of unproductive employees that I would say definitely would be the lazy people, the
Mhm.
ones that, they may have seen that happen before. Like I've seen people homeless, or I see this case every day,
Right. Yes.
They lose their sensitivity.
Definitely.
They're insensitive to people's needs
Mhm.
and why they're there. And they get this little wall up,
Right.
just tell me your problem and let me do blah, 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 or push it off with somebody else. They become, I would say, lack of productivity would be it. They're no longer productive in
No.
their jobs because they've lost that empathy that's needed to perform the job.
Exactly.
Everybody is now a number,
Mhm.
next. You see the old
Right.
with the little hat, next.
Mhm.
Next.
Right.
Go up there. How can I help you?
Mhm.
You're like, oh, well, can you do this, that, and the other? all right, stay here. They just lose all desire to do the job. It becomes robotic to them. They're moving from one thing to the next
Let's see.
thing.
Right.
And there's no emotion.
Mm-mm.
I definitely
Disconnect.
Yeah, it's a disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So like when you get a disconnected person, how in the world can you get that person motivated or encourage them to get back in the game? You know, to so you don't lose customers and productivity isn't low and revenue is not flying out the door and there is no loss of time in between what the customer's time or your company's time. You know?
Well, I believe, managers and companies, they really need to open communication up to get the feedback from their employees to hear really, how they feel, and what really is going on while they're performing, their jobs. A
Yeah.
lot of companies are starting, I feel like, to see the value in doing that. And just recently, I actually had to, um, I guess, attend I had the opportunity to visit a cell phone company, actually, their headquarters. They were launching a new program
Okay.
that was geared towards getting feedback from their customers. And they actually invested a lot of money to develop a whole software where employees would have like certain kiosks designated around the building. So if they didn't want to send any information from their computer, or log in and email, they could go to somewhere. It was like in maybe a hallway, but it wasn't like just directly exposed. But they could actually put in information and update different departments based on their feedback or how they felt. And they actually asked them little questions where it gave them the little like happy face, like I'm satisfied, not satisfied type of, questionnaire where they could respond. So if they actually rolled out a new policy within their company and they wanted to, get feedback on how it's affecting their employees, then they would post that question on the kiosk, and they would send out, a notice and have them say, hey, we would like you to stop by the kiosk to be able to provide feedback based on, this new initiative that we have or this new program, and really tell us how you feel about it, so they can get honest feedback back. And that's so valuable and needed to be able to grow as a company.
Yeah, so you're saying that, to keep it on the anonymous tip, you can sneak off to a kiosk and tell the people how you really feel.
Right.
And this way, since it's all anonymous, they can get some honest, real feedback.
Oh, yes. Because people, they get scared of Big Brother. They don't want to be tracked. So, the normal
kiosk, it's not possible for that kiosk to stab a picture and take your thumbprint.
Hey.
Sure.
Yes. Okay, don't scare everybody. No, it's anonymous. This kiosk doesn't have cameras and fingerprint scanners.
Yeah, that's what they tell you.
Right, huh?
Yeah, they know every time you're there. Dad again, Shirley, dad again.
Yes, well, we already know who this one is.
Right?
No, okay, seriously. Don't scare people. But there are different, but that is a form of an incentive to help people to be able to get, true, honest feedback and try to focus on what is going on in the company, in the environment of the company.
Yes, as long as they're not snapping pictures of you, yes. I agree. As long as when you're typing your information and they're not monitoring your keystrokes and they know you by keystrokes. I agree 100%. I believe a good thing to motivate or encourage them would be trying to do increasing the workload. And let me explain that.
Okay,
because I believe this because I have a lazy person in the family. I'm not going to say who, son, but this person, they tend to not want to do work, and you have to coerce them to do a job. And I found the best way to get them to actually do the work that they're supposed to do is increasing their workload. The more work I put on them, the more diligently they do the work.
Okay.
The less work that he has, the more excuses he has, more procrastination he has. But once he gets into the rhythm, it's kind of like a body emotion stays in motion. Once he gets into that rhythm of doing the work and keep doing the work over and over again, and the more assignments that are put on, more responsibilities, the better he gets and the less lazy he is. So I find that the best incentive sometimes for getting unmotivated slacker employee to do something is to just give them more responsibilities to begin with.
Well, every employee is different. So the thing is,
away from the kiosk.
right, keep them away from the kiosk. But the good thing is, like, if you really get to know your employees, then you really figure out what works for each one of them. Like someone else, it may be where you have to be more firm with them. You may have to set expectations and also communicate what consequences are in place if they don't meet those expectations.
That's true, because everybody needs to know there's going to be a consequence. Because if there is no consequence, people tend to not fear what's going to happen. They don't have to follow through because nothing's going to happen. I mean, why should I do it? I mean, there's a lot of this is in our book, so it's like hits home with me.
Right.
I see bosses all the time. They actually tell the employee, I need you to do this, that, and the other thing. And then when the employee doesn't do it, they kind of shrug it off and go, oh, well, that's Tim. He's like that, sometimes he does it, sometimes he does, he's, unpredictable, and there's no consequence.
Right.
He just laughs it off and moves on. And so it's kind of like they have a buddy situation, because a lot of bosses tend to be friendly and friends instead of bosses.
Right. Oh,
and
yes.
There's a blurred line. Because if you're not firm, if you don't have clear expectations, if you don't have consequences that follow those clear expectations and your desire, then you're going to have a problem with that employee. That employee will always be a lazy employee, and they will always cost you time, productivity, revenue, and customers. So
there's also some I'll say organizations where there are no consequences. People feel like, hey, I got this job, and once I have this job, there's no way, like, for some reason, there's no policies that they can get fired from the job. So they end up just doing and existing and whatever they want to do, basically making up their own rules because they feel like there's no consequences.
Government.
We didn't want to say that. But it happens. It definitely happens. And I mean, it's sad.
That's how you know your job is secure, when you don't care and it's okay. You don't have to worry. You're going to have a job no matter what.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. So if you have a situation where you have a company that doesn't have clear expectations or consequences for the employee, some of the best things as a manager that you could do is just document stuff.
You have to.
You document everything that's said, everything that has occurred. If you reprimanded that employee,
yes.
If that employee is giving you an excuse, document it.
You have to keep a record, no matter what. You have to, because that covers you. If there's ever any other issues, or if it does get to the point where you have to release that employee, you have to show how you have tried, to rectify that situation from happening, but it has occurred over and over again.
Exactly. And sometimes sometimes when you sit a person down and just repeat to them things that they've said to you, it actually wakes them up. Sometimes people are in a little stupor. They don't know they've repeated the same.
That's true.
5 to 6 times. Like, you didn't your grandma die last week?
Right.
Tell me that. Oh, you miss a bus like every 2 weeks. You're missing the same bus for like 3 days straight. I mean, how many times they keep telling me the same excuse, but they don't even realize they're telling you that excuse. So when they come into your office and they give you another excuse, well, I had to finish this because this was happening. Oh, my tire burst. Well, how many tires do you need on that car?
Right.
You must be spending at least $250 a week on tires, okay? Because every week your tire bursts, okay? So once you repeat to them the whole pattern of the excuse making and what the excuses were, sometimes it opens their eyes and wakes them up, and they go, oh my goodness, I have been making a lot of excuses. I didn't realize I was making that many excuses.
And you know what else it can do?
Some people, not everybody.
You know what else that can do as well is, as a manager, if you're noticing an employee is giving certain, weird excuses, it may help you to hone in on other issues that that person is personally dealing with, that you
Yeah,
may be able to direct, you know, like for instance, if you have someone that may be going through an abusive situation,
yeah,
and if they're making certain excuses, you may be able to pinpoint and say, you know what, this person is actually crying out for help, and you are able to direct them and help them, get out of that situation. So
that is a
by
hard one because you don't know if the person. I mean, you know if it's like a crazy excuse and they're giving it to you over and over again. But
Mhm.
you sometimes don't know when it's a real excuse.
Right.
Sometimes they are real excuses, and there are situations where things are really happening that are bad situations or situations that may be dire.
Mhm.
So yeah, but you know what? That when stuff like that happens, I would say for the boss or the manager, that's when you need to be a mentor or really work with the person. You know, coach them,
Right.
mentor them, so you can develop a closer relationship with that person.
Exactly.
If there is something happening that you don't know about, you know,
Mhm.
can address that. You know enough about that person because you built a stronger bond with that person through mentoring them or coaching them. You know enough about that person that you can say, hey, you know what? Let's sit down. Let's talk about this. I see something's not right.
Mhm. Like for instance, I had an employee that she kept coming in late to work. And of course, I was getting reports, from corporate saying, hey, this person is coming in too late. They're clocking in late all the time. And of course, according to policy, after so many times, if you're late, you're supposed to be reprimanded.
Right.
And the thing was, she was a great employee, so I'm like, you know, well, when she was there, you're right.
Well, she finally got there. She was great.
But I was like, you know what? Let me sit her down and try to find out what's going on. I'm making notes, and and actually, she was giving me excuse after excuse. When she would walk in, hey, this happened, and hey, that happened.
You wouldn't
But
believe it, right?
right, after a while, you're like, hold on, what's going on? So I actually sat her down, and I was like, hey, what's really going on? Well, come to find out, her family situation had changed. She was actually going through a divorce, and now she had more responsibilities because she had the children full time, and
Yeah.
she didn't have proper child care. So she was trying to run to um, or run, to go get them from school, and then try to find, I guess, like, I think she was taking them somewhere close to her job to go do their homework, but it was time consuming because she didn't live in, I guess she originally didn't live in the area where she was working. So, and everything else, was already, she already had a routine. So now that her routine had changed, it now was affecting her job. But
Exactly.
now that I knew that, I could try to do something where I could either reschedule her,
Yeah, you can.
where it was more convenient, so then now she didn't have to clock in late. But now that I know that, that took communication, it took us, trying to save her job, and mentor her and help her through that.
Yeah, you definitely have to have a stronger connection to your employees. And that's what the human employee book is all about. You
Most
know,
definitely.
effective management of the human employee is about building relationships with your human employee. And the best way to build a relationship with somebody is to mentor them or coach them and
Yes,
really get in there and have an authentic relationship with that person, not just boss, you employee. You know,
exactly.
you need to have that real connection with somebody.
And when you establish that connection, guess what? You get to find out more about them. You get to find out what their interests are. And not only that, when you find out things that motivate them, you can kind of tailor and twist and, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
create something where they are getting their job done based off of maybe their interests. So you find out, oh, they're really good at organization. Well, you find a task that's more, based on the organization, you put them in there. Guess what? They're going to excel in it because they have an interest in it.
right. Once you do tap into their interests and play off of that, you can definitely shift an employee from one job description if that is what you can do in your environment. Like some environments, that employee was specifically hired for that job. But
Right.
if you see that their interest has shifted and that they are more interested in, like, say, another job, like if you're in a
Mhm.
software development company and the person is definitely was hired to be a software engineer, but you see now that their main interest is in GUI or GUI, that they want to really work on the front end part of that, and they're more interested in front end. Yeah, try to make that switch. Try
Oh,
to
yes.
see if you can get that employee to switch into that position and see if they flourish and they thrive in that new position, and that could cure the lazy. I mean,
Oh, it can. Oh, it can.
letting go of your employee should be the absolute last thing or your last option. If that's what it should be. It should not be the secondary thing you come up with right after you're mad at that person because they've upset your work environment like for the second time.
Right.
It should be the letting go of that employee should be the last thing.
Last option.
Yeah, it definitely should, because you should work through everything to find out, because it could be sometimes it's the simplest of things that,
It can. It can be.
yeah, you can solve those simple problems and then move on and have a more productive, non-lazy employee and a happier employee. Like we say in the book, happy employee, happy business,
That's right. That's right.
It's
You
like
know.
happy life, happy wife, happy wife, happy life, happy employee, happy business.
So, overall, a lazy employee can be a difficult situation. That's for any manager or leader to handle. So if you don't know how to handle the situation, you should go to upper level management, ask them for their advice if you're not sure how to handle that. And, just always stay positive and, try to really understand, what the approach is that you want to take. Also be authentic, and really just want to help that person, help that employee grow and develop their talents to be the best that they can be. And
That
you may end up turning a lazy employee to be your best employee ever.
Yeah, and that shows great leadership skills.
Definitely, it does.
So that's it for us. Our time has come to an end. We hope
Toodles.
you enjoyed the Human Employee podcast, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya. Love this episode of the Human Employee Podcast? We'd love for you to subscribe, give a thumbs up, and leave a comment on YouTube. For free resources and materials, you can connect with us at thehumanemployee.com. Don't forget to sign up to our newsletter to receive updates, bonuses, and giveaways. It's very much appreciated. Thank you for tuning in. See you at the next episode.